All right, so buyers buy why we do what we do and not what we do. I'm going to get into that today. So 3 questions. You can either process these questions to yourself or you can respond in chat, whatever you'd like. First question, number 1. The last time you reviewed your marketing or sales, what did you find and how you or your business communicates what you sell? It's a long question. I'll read it again. The last time you reviewed your marketing and sales, what did you find on how you or your business communicates what you sell? That's question number 1. You can process it or you can answer it in the chat box. Number 2, how does your current sales process create loyal customers? I mean, that's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for customers that keep coming back. We're looking for customers who don't mind paying us what we're worth. How does your current sales process create loyal customers? That's question number 2. And then question number 3 is, does your sales process sell what you do or why you do it? That question right there could possibly be your biggest aha today. Does your process sell what you do or why you do it? So those are our 3 opening questions. I want to run you through this real quick. Some of you have seen this before. Some of you have just been introduced to it within the last week. Some of you are seeing this for the first time. So I'm going to quickly go through this. And thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Ben, for those comments. I want to just really quick introduce how this cycle works and how it affects you in the way you're currently selling in the steps we're going to go through. But the way that you're currently selling or marketing your business, product, or service has to do with what you think. Beliefs that you have created based on experiences, based on books that you've read, based on things you've been taught. So as we're going through these steps of different ways to sell, I want you to really think about why, that open-mindedness, why are you selling that way? And is it coming from an experience, something you've been taught, a book you've read, those types of things. So what happens in the cycle is we take the belief or what we think about how we should sell or market, and then that's what we do. We do it that way. That's the behavior, the action part. So simple, right? What you think is what you do. I've just codified it in this results cycle. And the way you sell or market either influences a relationship or hurts a relationship. And that either gets us the results in sales and marketing we want, or it doesn't. So today, as I'm walking you through these different ways to sell, think about why you think that way. And that's driving what you're doing, which is the behaviors. All right. So before we get into the ways that we sell today, could everybody on the call real quick, just do me a favor, everybody pay attention, I'm up here on your screen. Could you go to your mute button, please? And just check to see if you are on mute. I just see a couple people off that would help us not be distracted. I think I see maybe if you don't mind checking, Tom, David, Janine, if you'll just check that for me, that would be super helpful. Thank you. All right, so let's get into the ways we sell today. Number one is price. We sell by price, right? You guys know this game. Many companies play this game because we know how effective it is. And when we're faced with an opportunity for a big piece of business, a new relationship, we'll drop price to make things happen, right? No matter how we rationalize this, price is manipulation. At the end of the day, price is manipulation. We drop our prices low enough so people will buy from us. We see it in retail. I don't think there's anybody on the call in retail here, but we do see it in retail, right? This is Christmas season, right? The day after Christmas. I mean, you see companies use price to manipulate. And selling on price can become addictive. So we get really good short-term gains, but it becomes harder to kick the habit. And we eventually begin to look like commodities. Price always costs you, and price always costs your organization something. I could stay on this slide all day. Let me just give you a little bit of extra. When we lead with price, when we lead with how much we're going to save them, or why they should do business with us because of price, we immediately position ourselves as a commodity, right? No value. There's no value there. And here's my statement about price. Write this down. It's really good. I told y'all to get your pencils ready. If a customer, client, relationship comes to you for price, they're going to leave you for price. This is not a loyal customer. But what do? That's one way we sell. We sell on price. Promotions are another way that we sell. They're common manipulations. With the access to internet today, you can often find 2 or 3 comparable products, right? I mean, we do it. We're consumers, right? We'll go to Walmart.com or we'll go to Amazon and we'll shop around. I was just doing this week. It's my birthday week, right? Ben's on the call too. Happy birthday, brother. I know your birthday week this week. So, right, and I'm like shopping for my presents. And I go and I look at a hat over here and I look at a hat over here and I'm like, oh, they got a little cheaper. I like that design better. We shop. Okay, so we have access. Our clients, our customers have more access to information than they have ever had before. You guys know this. But perhaps one of those sellers or you has a promotion. Buy from us, get free blank with purchase. Just to tip the scales a little bit with something extra. I had, there was a credit union or a bank signed up today. I don't know if they're on the call. Toasters, right? They give away toasters. Remember when you open a bank account, you get a toaster? Same thing, right? We call it promotion. Some of us refer to it as value add, but foundationally, it is a promotion. Number 2, we sell by promotion. We sell by price. We sell by promotion. All right. Third one, we sell by fear. All right, whether you want to admit this or not, you probably have done this at some point in your career. And it is a powerful manipulator. It is manipulation, just like price. And when fear is employed, facts are less important. The idea is if you do not buy the product or service, something bad can happen, right? I think we got a good group of loan officer, consultant professionals on the call, right? This is the fear, right? We're going to lock your rate or else, right? Now, that is considered fear. I'm not saying you're using that manipulative selling process, but that's an example. And then, right here is another example. It's like life insurance. They'd like to sell you a policy before it's too late. I've done a lot of work with in the banking industry. And in the banking industry, some of you may know this or not, they have treasury, they call them treasury salespeople. And what they're selling, they're not bankers or lenders necessarily, but they sell check processing, credit card processing machines to business owners or businesses or companies. And some of them I've worked with used fear tactics. Oh, somebody's going to steal your identity. Somebody's going to steal your checking account. You need to put all this security on there. That's the fear in selling. And it is manipulative. It brings a lot of pressure to a buyer, a prospect, a client, a customer. All right, let's talk about the next one. We sell hope, right? We sell hope. So the opposite of fear is moving buyers away from something horrible to something hopeful, positive. So here's an example of hopeful selling, sales and marketing. So when we release new white papers from the Van Syckle group, like our planning guides, 12 steps to a winning planning session, 7 steps to a winning sales session, right? These are hopeful messages. But what happens is hopeful messaging, hopeful sales can start behavior, but it's not sustainable. It's kind of like dieting, right? Hey, lose 50 pounds if you take this pill. Maybe you lose 50 pounds after you take the pill for 60 days. But being sustainable and creating the discipline and the behavior modification to keep the weight off, a lot of times it's not sustainable. It's the same thing with selling this way. One thing we're passionate about here at the Van Syckle Group is how we think differently about sales training. Many organizations want events, like want a 1-day, 2-day, 3-day event. We know that won't be sustainable. We know it will motivate a team or individuals for a short period of time, but we know sustainable, it takes time. So hopeful selling is effective, but it doesn't create long, sustainable clients or customers. So that is fear, hopeful, and now I want to go to peer pressure. And after I read you these last ones, I'm going to stop and we're going to hear from you guys. So you guys see this with toothpaste, right? Dentist recommended. It's the same thing. Testimonials. This is why you use testimonials, whether you're working with large B2B organizations or you're working with affluent individuals, right? This is peer pressure selling. This is why we use these things. Here's an example. If a product's good enough for Olympic athletes, why isn't it good for you? If 8 out of 10 dentists use Crest, why aren't you? It's the same messaging. Or it's the salesperson that comes in and says, hey, your competitors are using this copier, 80% of them, why aren't you? That's an example of our peer pressure selling. Okay, newness. Sometimes companies are confused between what newness and innovation are, right? So some organizations or companies will get a product or a service and say, hey, we've innovated. Well, innovation really only changes the course of an industry. It's really just something new, right? So newness or features and benefits, maybe it's on a product you're selling, added a new feature, added a new benefit, that attempt to differentiate. So newness can accelerate sales when you go back in with the same product or service because you've changed or added or tweaked something, but impacts are not long lasting. It's kind of like tennis shoes. Oh my word. How many tennis shoes can you possibly fit in your closet, right? It's the same shoe. It's like Krispy Kreme donuts. They make the glazed donut and then they make it 20 different ways. They put chocolate on it. They put sprinkles on it. They put strawberry topping on it, right? That's the newness way of selling. All right. So I want to just talk a little bit about loyal customers. But before we do, I want to just hear from you. Where do you find yourself as we kind of introduced before we get to the psychology and the biology, where do you find yourself spending time selling out of the ones that I just introduced to you? I'm going to pull up the chat, but I'd love to hear from you if you want to get on the mic.
I'll talk.
Yeah, Cheryl.
Um, I think, okay, so in the travel environment, basically we're all selling the same thing. But we're selling, what we talk about is the amount of service that we're doing with our customers, that we're taking it to the nth degree, where we're watching their travel 24/7. Is there a schedule change? Is there this? Is there that? That we have technology that does get to the actual advisor so that we're able to already take care of a canceled flight before the client even knows about it. And the loyalty for that can be amazing. Okay. And the referrals that come from it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's
No, it's good. Yeah. Service, right?
right.
Service.
Because it's not really tangible what I mean, it is and it isn't, but the service is what we're, you know, giving to our customers.
Mm-hmm. Good. Thank you, Cheryl. I see some other people posting here. Red's posted price, selling on price and promotion. Brandy is selling on experience. Julia selling on hope. So this is when you begin to look at this before we get into some of the psychology and the biology, is at least knowing where you're at, right? Being that self-aware and knowing how sometimes those can bring pressure to a relationship. So if you look back on my screen, there's a difference between returning customers and loyal customers. Returning customers, when people do business multiple times. Loyal, you might want to write this down. Loyal customers are willing to turn down a better product or a better price to continue doing business with you. I'm going to reread this paragraph. There is a difference between returning customers or clients and loyal customers and clients. The returning customers are when people will do business multiple times, but loyal customers are willing to turn down better product and better price to do business with you. I've always said people will pay more to do business with you. That's because they're loyal customers. The way most companies sell today are particularly weak platforms. I've showed you some of those platforms. Loyal customers help us reduce those costs, keep us peace of mind. They're there when we need them, especially through like pandemics. When we all went through that, loyal customers stuck. So that's your introduction. All right, let's get into the psychology. So I'm just going to share these with you real quick. There's a difference between the psychology of selling and the biology of selling. And I'm going to show you the differences now. So you're going to want to write these down. These are the 4 sequential steps when presenting to a buyer, right? Somebody who's going to buy something from you. This is the 4 sequential steps. So why are they in sequence? Because it's psychology. What does sequence mean? It's kind of like a recipe, right? Somebody raise their hand if you bake. If you bake, that's what I'm going to ask. Anybody in here bake? On the call, anybody bakers on here? All right, I see you shaking your head. Sure. Anybody, y'all can't raise your hand? You don't have enough controls on your webinar there? Okay. All right. Well, those of you who bake that I can't see, if you follow a recipe and use the same oven, you most likely will get the same result. It's when you don't follow the recipe, you go out of sequence, or you go out of order, or you change the ingredient recommendation from a tablespoon to a teaspoon, you're going to get a different result. That's the reason these are sequential steps in how we present to a buyer. So the first one, when we sit down to present after we spend time gone through the process with them, we summarize, review problems or needs. Write that down. I'm going to say needs before presenting your solution to make sure you have it right, right? It's kind of like this. Hey, this is the time we spent together. This is the information you gave me. This is what I know you need or want. Do I have it right? They want to make sure you have listened and understood them. That's step number one. Step number two is when we develop a specific value proposition, we identify specific needs where gaps or issues they have are occurring, and we quantify them. So because you're in different industries, this means different things. Those of you selling B2B, you can probably get monetary and emotional. I'll explain that in a minute. Those of you who are selling B2C, consumer, it can be monetary, but it also may be more emotional. I think Rev's still on this call. Rev is in the entertainment business. He hosts parties, weddings, things like that. Highly emotional type of events. So it's important that we understand the monetary and emotional consequences by not getting what we're offering by solution. And they want to know that we're going to frame the conversation to eliminate or deter that. I'll just use Rev for an example if he's still on the call. Rev needs to make sure the bride knows that there's not going to be a problem on her wedding day, right? He needs to deter or eliminate that emotion. Step two is where we show them the solution and we show them that's how that's going to happen. Step three, we show how it fits. How is your solution going to solve their problem? That's it. Don't make step three difficult. Guys, this is very simple. It's 4 steps. Just follow the steps. They need to know you understand what they need. They need to know you're going to eliminate or deter the problem, issue, emotional, monetary. Number 3, you show them how it fits. Here's what I have. Here's what you told me. Here's what I have to fix the problem. Here's how it works. That's it. You can do that in any industry. And we provide proof. This is how we do it. That's step 3. Step 4, very simple. We ask for the business. Guys, these 2 questions right here could possibly be worth the whole webinar to you. There's someone, every time I introduce these 2 questions to a group of people, they're like, oh my word, that makes complete sense. You see, when we go to close, yes, all of you close at some level. We make this very difficult. We talk too much. We bring in too much emotion. We get nervous. We get scared. We're afraid we're going to lose the business. If you're a true sales professional and you have done really good needs analysis, what you need to understand is that a close is the end of the sales process, and it happens naturally. It happens naturally. You found out what they needed. You determined you had a solution. You showed them how it fit. And then this is how we close, guys. It sounds just like this. What should we do now? Where do you want to go from here? That's it. That's the close. And guess what you have to do? You have to zip it. Be quiet. Ask the question and be quiet. If you've done a good job on the steps before, they're going to give you a response like, well, where do I sign? Where's the paperwork? How do we move forward? What's the next step? You see, by asking a question to close, it gives them control, which is what they want, to make the decision. And it allows them to close themselves. We don't close. You see, sales professionals don't close. We bring it to a natural conclusion. Those are your 4 steps. Number 1, make sure they know you heard them, you understand what the problem or the issues are, what the need is. Number 2, I'll show it to you again. Develop the specific value proposition. How does what you have solve their problem? Number 3, show them how it fits. Number 4, ask them a question. That's it. Very simple. Anybody have any questions off this before I move to the biology part of this webinar? This is your psychology part. 4 sequence steps. If you do these steps out of order, you're going to get a different result. Right? Think of me as the Pillsbury Doughboy, right? I'm giving you the recipe. Follow the recipe. It's 4 sequential steps. All right. Any questions on this before I move? It's okay if you got a question. Let me check the chat box. Okay. Well, before I move, let's do this. You can just
Hey,
do it in the
Owen,
chat.
I'm sorry, this is Tom. Just very quick. So when we're talking to summarize the problem, that obviously comes after the interview sheet, correct?
Yes, this is presentation.
Right.
Very good
Okay.
question, Tom. All right, so there are people on this call who have no idea what you just asked. So
Sorry.
let me just bring them up to speed.
Thank
This
you.
is presentation. Thank you, Tom. Tom, who's on the call with us, on the webinar with us today, he is actually in one of our classes, our training classes, and he is using our sales tool, which is called the interview sheet, just so you guys know what he was referring to. So Tom, yes, this is in presentation. So it comes after the interview sheet, which is number 1, the information coming from the interview sheet. Great question. Any other questions? Okay. Let's do this. Why don't 2, 3, 4, all of you, if you want, put in the chat box a takeaway so far, a light bulb, a reminder, an aha moment. Just post it in the chat box. Let me just read a couple of those. Stop talking. Yes, that's a great reminder. Always. Yes, the close is easy. Be quiet. Yep, thank you, Tom. I love them too. They work. Thank you, Julie. Julia. Huge reminder. Thank you. Yes, of the sequence. That's correct. Okay, good. Good. All right. So if you need a fresh pencil or pen, this is where you want to go. I get that. Ben, I practice what I preach. I don't know if y'all are reading the chat box, but Ben had a memory that I actually used that question when I closed him. Of course, I use my own stuff, Ben. All right. So let's talk about the biology of selling. This is a very different way to think about sales. Okay. So you probably have heard somebody say that people make decisions emotionally and justify their decision logically. You may have heard some form of this statement. Let me repeat it. People make a decision to buy from you emotionally, and then after they have bought, they justify later their decision logically. I'm going to explain to you what's happening with that. See, the biology of selling finds order and predictability in human behavior. Simply put, I am going to explain why customers are buying from you. Selling through inspiration, why? instead of manipulation is a key difference of how and why customers become loyal. Most businesses, not most, I would say all businesses, if they think about it, all businesses know what they do. This is the easiest way and the easiest thing we identify within a business. Identify what we do. You see, at the Van Syckle Group, we do sales acceleration. That's what we do. That's easy for us to think about. Some companies and organizations know how they do it. This is what we call differentiation. This is what I call unique selling proposition, right? So USP is an acronym that we use, right? So here at the Van Syckle Group, it's what we do as sales acceleration. Some companies know how they do it. So let's do a little exercise. Go to the chat box and put in there what you do. And then if you know how you do it or how you're different, then go ahead and put that in your same chat. What do you do and how do you do it? Take a couple minutes and then I'll read some of those and we'll discuss them. Not everybody at one time. Not too fast. I can't read. Just kidding. No one's posting. What do you do and how do you do it? No one's going to play with me? Come on, guys. You want to come on the mic and tell me? It's okay. There we go. Thank you. Make customers feel comfortable. Okay, that's how. Tell the truth. Okay, good. Not oversell them. I like that. Offer support, guidance, remember details. People love for you to remember details. Thank you, Tom. So travel solutions is what you do, and you do it through exceptional collaboration and partnership. What and how. Got it. Good. This is a good exercise for you to really think about how you are articulating, messaging, marketing. So I told you what we do is sales acceleration. How we do it is behavior modification, right? Sustainable, sustain, change behavior in an individual or an organization, which can sustain sales. All right, good. So the next part, if you'll go back to the PowerPoint on your screen, is the most important, and very few businesses can clearly message why they do what they do. Why they do what they do. Business sell what they do, but customers buy why they do it. Loyal customers buy why, not what. This is what I call Buyology to buy. Thank you, David. A firm belief, confidence, and a referral source. Good. Okay, so follow me along. It's where you're going to start taking some more notes. I'm going to talk about, by the way, full disclosure, I am not a scientist. I'm not a biologist. I'm not a doctor. But I'm going to explain to you how the brain works and when people are making buying decisions from us. So the neocortex part of the brain, which I believe is in the front, corresponds with what businesses do and how most businesses sell their products and services. Most businesses sell what they do, which affiliates to the neocortex part of the brain. It is responsible, this part of the brain is responsible for rational, analytical thought and language. So just let that sit in. Most businesses are marketing and selling what they do, which is selling to the neocortex part of our brain, which is only responsible for rational, analytical thought and language. The middle part of the brain includes what we call limbic brain. And this part of the brain is responsible for feelings that include trust and loyalty. It is also responsible for human behavior and decision making and has no capacity for language. Two very different parts of the brain. I want you to think about this. Neocortex, rational, analytical thought and language, is receiving what we do. That's how most businesses sell. The middle part of the brain, the limbic brain, is a part that includes feelings, loyalty, and trust, and has no capacity for making decisions or for language. So with that being said, most businesses communicate their what to the neocortex, part of the brain of buyers, and the neocortex can understand information, facts, features, benefits, but it does not drive behavior for decision making. This is the part of the brain that people rationalize their decisions. So let me go back. If I can go back. Yes. So rationalize their buying decisions. Remember, I opened up the statement before. There was a slide before, right? 2 slides before. People make decisions emotionally. Listen. People make decisions emotionally and justify logically. Most businesses communicate their what? To the neocortex. Logic. This is where people rationalize, justify their decision. And this is where most companies are selling to. What part of the brain they're selling to. When that's not the part of the brain making the decision. So you remember the last time you made a gut decision, right? Everybody's probably made one of those on this call. Where'd it come from? Well, since your stomach can't make decisions, it came from the limbic brain. It is not coincident that we use words like this feels right when we make gut decisions or when we make decisions. The limbic brain drives human behavior that is different from rational understanding. People are making decisions emotionally to use you. And they're justifying later, after the sale, logically. Getting all excited. Okay, so while facts, features, benefits, all important to selling, right? It does not drive behavior. It does not drive decisions. Buyers buy why, not what. This explains why consultative selling, I'm going to tell you about that in a second, why consultative selling has become so popular over many decades. Because a sales process that focuses on the limbic brain instead of the neocortex has more lifetime value and focuses on the biology of selling. All right, what is consultative selling? Anybody want to take a shot at that?
Like teaching, like teaching them.
Okay. No, good guess. Consultant. Think of it, a consultative, consultant. Anybody else want to take a shot at that?
The questions you ask.
Questions you ask. Yes, who is that, Mark?
Yep.
Thanks, Mark. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that for people who may not be familiar?
Digging deep to what their pain level is, so that we can help design the right product and service for them.
Yes. Consultative selling, asking questions, gathering information, consultant, asking questions, gathering information. And in those questions Mark is referring to is they are very emotional questions, which are driving and speaking to their limbic brain, which is the emotional human driving behavior part of the brain. Not, here's a spreadsheet, this is how I can help you, this is how much I'm going to save you, this is what's good. That's the logical side. The emotional side comes through a consultative process where we're driving emotion through questions to drive human behavior. Anybody want to share with people on the call that aren't familiar with consultative selling? Anybody want to share an emotional question? Anybody want to take a shot at that?
I have one that I ask, and it's usually a first-time home buyer, and I say, what does buying this house mean to you and your family?
Ooh, that's great. Yes, that is limbic brain selling.
I had one guy start crying.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
now you know why he was crying.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, that's why this is why. This is the why.
Right. It's like what's really important for you, what's important on my side for your travelers, you know, if you want a savings, and how can we help you?
Yeah. Good. Those are good. Anybody else want to share one of those limbic brain questions? I know there's some people on the call that have them. Okay, they're coming up in the chat. What is the most important factors that you are going to determine in your decision? Good. In consultative selling, we talk about impact questions. We talk about personal impact, organizational impact, things like that. Then that was a great example. So now you're getting a really good understanding of old way of selling, all those different ways, right? Price, fear, promotion, newness, hopefulness, right? And we still do that. We do it in marketing. And then you're understanding and you're coming into really what drives human behavior, and that is the limbic brain. So how are we designing, or how are we using our sales process to speak to the limbic brain and not the neocortex? So I opened up with these questions. They're the same three questions. The last time you reviewed your marketing and sales, what did you find? And how is your business communicating what you sell? Second question, how does your current sales process create loyal customers? Loyal customers come from emotion, limbic brain selling. And then, does your sales process sell what you do or why you do it? All right, let's close with this, guys. Go to the chat box, and if you'll be willing to share, or you can turn your mic on as I wrap up. Share with me one thing you will change as a result of this webinar today. One thing